Is it an international joke day?
International joke day. Hey, you know what? We normally start at 6:30. We do apologize that we ran a little late today because it was a huge thunderstorm.
John was hiding under the table.
I was under the table. I was very scared. But we started 6:30 because 6:30 is the best time on the clock, hands down.
Uh-huh. Gotcha. See what you did there.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, July the 13th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you, and with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
Hey, guys, and happy National Franks and Beans Day. Or is it Beans and Franks?
Happy National Franks and Beans. No, you can't get the beans above the Franks.
Okay, so it's Franks and Beans.
Unless you're in the movie Something About Mary. But no, it's Franks and Beans, Franks and Beans. What are you eating, Franks and Beans there?
Mm-hmm.
Mind
if I eat some? R2D2. Yeah, you go. You eat some. You're going to join me today.
I'm going to join you. I'm going to eat a little Franks and Beans.
I didn't have any, what's the other day? I didn't have any French fries.
Nope, yep. Yes, it is also National French Fry Day. So
now, when you do Franks and Beans, do you put mustard in your Franks and Beans?
I do not.
Would you put ketchup?
I do not.
Just leave it with the beans.
Franks and Beans. The sauce in the beans is enough. It's perfect.
Now, then when it comes to hot dogs themselves.
Well, it depends on the beans you have too, but that's besides the point.
That's true. So. But with hot dogs themselves, some people put mustard and some people put are just wrong.
Right.
Or five.
Yeah, you don't want to put hey, well, you know what? You put on, it's like anything else, right? It's like drinking beer. Whatever makes you happy, fine. You want to put ketchup on a hot dog? Put ketchup on a hot dog. I don't personally do it. I think it's a bad thing. But to each his own. It's all good. Nope. However, what hot dogs you got in there, by the way?
I have some Brett's.
Okay.
I hear you're gonna, but you got a damn better source of dogs than I do. I mean, I love the Brett's.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Brett's are good. Especially depending on.
But what do you have?
I have Thumans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The best hot dog. But as we discussed earlier, Thumans is the best hot dog out there. Mm-hmm. But Sabrett's is a wholly different animal.
Oh, it's night and day. Mm-hmm. Apples and oranges. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So anyway,
that work.
I finished the hot dogs. There's some beans left in there, but I'll work on them later.
Yeah, you can't let the hot dogs go.
You can't let the hot dogs go. The beans can sit for a while. It's fine.
I'm still looking for that piece of pork.
There you go. It's also, by the way, it's also Bolero Snort Appreciation Day today.
I didn't know that.
I'm sorry. Cow Appreciation Day today.
I can see how you can get confused.
Okay, I got confused there. Sorry about that. Appreciate it. Sorry. My bad. Mm-hmm. But in any event, it's, you know what else is weird too? I didn't put it up here, but it's also, I found out, it's Delaware Appreciation Day too.
Are they feeling unappreciated? Well, there is a New Jersey Appreciation Day.
Yeah, there is. It's Delaware Appreciation Day. So my first beer, when I do pour it, I'll be drinking out of a Dogfish Head glass.
Very nice.
In observance of Delaware Appreciation Day. So, and if you can see behind me, the it's not lit, but the Dogfish Head neon behind me. That's.
You can barely see the outline of the shark.
A little bit there.
In green.
And also, you know what? It's in observance of Shark Week too. There you go.
Is it Shark Week?
It is Shark Week. Shark Week.
Okay. Well, that means everyone's watching sharks, including one of our producers.
Including one of our producers, exactly. Yeah. Right. So, but anyway, in any event,
we won't hear from Matt on this show.
No, we probably will not. But now that we've bored everybody for about 4 minutes,
That's usually what we do. Yeah,
which is usually what we do. We're nothing if not consistent.
Yes, let's bring the guest on so we can bore him for 9 minutes. Or 90 minutes.
Or 90 minutes, or 60 or 40, 51 minutes now. Today's guest is none other than the founder and head brewer of Oyster Creek Brewing in Waretown, New Jersey, is Kris Lewis, folks. Welcome him to the show. Welcome, Kris.
Hey,
how are
Kris.
You? Hello, guys.
There you go. There's your billboard right there.
I drove past your brewery once. I still haven't made it there. I was down in Manahawkin getting my vaccination, second vaccination.
Drove down to Manahawkin to get vaccinated.
early in the morning. So I don't think even if it was a day that you'd be open, I don't think you would have been open because I think it was like 9 a.m.
I walked up 6 blocks.
I still got mine before you.
Yeah, you did. A whole month before me. But in any event. So anyway, welcome to the show, Kris. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Been wanting to have you on. Let's get right in before we BS and talk about anything. Let's get right into Dave's still eating his Franks and beans.
I bet Kris has been dying to be on a podcast where guys eat Franks and beans.
Franks and beans, right? Exactly. How much better can it get? What are you drinking first?
Right now, I'm drinking their heavy water Irish ale.
Okay.
It's
heavy water Irish.
Very malty. Has a little bit of bourbonness to it.
Nice.
Low hops. It's got a nice reddish brownish color to it.
Very nice. You know what? It sounds so good. I think I'm going to have one myself. The same. So why not? Just leave that up there. I will pour into the Dogfish Head glass, of course, so we can appreciate.
I don't have one of those. I feel left out now.
You should be.
Yeah. But what I'm going to do instead is I've still got beer from my Rhode Island trip last weekend, and so I'm going to pour probably my favorite beer of theirs I've ever had, and that is the double dry hopped The Chosen One.
Double dry hop The Chosen One. That's from.
That is from Tilted Barn.
Tilted Barn. Hey.
And when I drink, that when I drink something from Rhode Island, I'm going to put it in my Rhode Island Brewers Association class.
Of course, you always do.
Brewers Guild. They're a guild, not an association. And you're going to see that's
nice.
Hazy as hell.
Very nice. Very nice. So,
beautiful.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers. Let's see how this goes with Franks and beans.
There you go. How is it? Oh, that is nice. Yeah, there are a couple of bourbon notes to that, aren't there?
Yep.
Oh, now I got to get that. You know how much I love my bourbon.
Yes, you do.
Yes, we actually did a bourbon barrel aging of that beer, and it picked up the barrel great. I mean, it's it didn't really fight with it at all. It was like
just accentuated a lot of the notes that were already in the beer.
Yeah,
nice.
Absolutely.
It's great. That's awesome. I wish I could have had that. That would have been awesome.
That can go either way, right?
Let me know. You doing it again?
We still have some bottles left.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, crap, I didn't know that. I got it while I was down there.
We did 4 different beers. We did a Belgian triple, coffee stout, the Irish, and a black IPA, which was pretty interesting to do as a bourbon barrel age. But
bourbon barrel aged black IPA.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. How'd it come out?
Triple ran out the door. We ran out of that quick, and the black IPA seems to be lagging. I don't know if people are a little afraid of it. It's coming in at like 14%. So
oh wow, what was it? What was the ABV on it before you put it in the barrel?
It was around 10.
Okay,
it was around 10. So
lively beer.
That's
nice. Yeah. And it's
lovely.
It's not necessarily a summer beer either. So.
This is true. What are you going to have today while you're barbecuing in 90-degree weather? I think I'll have a 14% barrel-aged black IPA.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The good thing about that is it's only going to get better, right?
Right.
So
right.
That's fine. It'll be a big seller in October when it gets a little crispier out. So anyway,
crispier?
What's that?
See, crispier out?
Crispier out.
Yeah.
When it gets a little crispier out. You've never said that before? That's new to you?
Okay.
When it gets a little crispier out.
Crispier. I thought now it's crispy because the sun seems so damn close to the earth right now.
You get a little crispier. The weather doesn't get crispier. So anyway, what you call it? So let's jump into it. I'll ask you what we always ask pretty much everybody, depending on who it is anyway. What's the first craft beer you ever had?
If you want,
you can remember anyway.
If you want to call it at the time craft, but
crafty at the time, yeah, exactly.
Sam Adams Cherry Wheat.
That works.
Yeah,
sure. There you go.
1990 or 96, something like that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's a discussion that John and I have had about Sam Adams, and we've rehashed it even today, where the term craft beer almost exists because of Sam Adams, because microbrewery they stopped fitting into it, so they kept changing the definitions. Like, oh hell, we'll just call it all craft beer regardless of the size.
It's all craft, it doesn't matter.
I always say that without Sam Adams, I don't know if the craft beer boom would have happened.
Oh hell no. Well, it may have happened, but just not when it did, or as big when it did. It did. Yeah.
There were still those West Coast guys.
Sure.
Sierra and Anchor would eventually made it across.
Sure. Sure, it would have taken a lot longer, and it wouldn't have blown up as big as it did when it did. But eventually, it would have caught on. It would be a lot further back than I would say. I think we had this conversation once.
Yep.
I would say it would probably at this point. I would say it would probably be somewhere in the mid 2000s, like 05, 06, what we were then. Now, if it wasn't for
sure,
Sam Adams.
Like you said, when it would start, like no,
no.
We would have had to wait till about mid 90s, maybe
Right.
early 90s, but
yeah, it's crazy, and you know what, people, and we talk about this all the time too. People dismiss Sam Adams, because they are as big as they are, but they brew really good beer. And I'm not just talking about Boston Lager or anything like that. Just all of those beers are solid. They're all consistent, obviously, but it's the small batch stuff. It's
seasonal
insane.
Out.
All of exactly, crazy. But anyway, whatchamacallit, do you remember what? I was going to say, do you remember what the first brewery you ever visited was?
I went to, does Busch Gardens count? No.
Sure. Why not? It's a brewery, right?
Yeah. As a kid, went to Busch Gardens and saw the giant tanks of, all the macro brews. And
I could tell you right now, the first brewery I ever visited was Busch Gardens too. So, it was somewhere in the 70s in Virginia, in Williamsburg, walking in there. But yeah, that was, I think we went to the one in Tampa too.
I've been to both. Yeah.
Can't remember.
The Tampa one is now Yuengling. Is that correct? I believe
so.
I think they took over the brewery.
Yuengling took over that brewery. Yeah. And whereas they have three now. Yuengling has the original brewery, which is they still do a lot of production out of there, but they have a much bigger production, maybe about 5 miles north, much bigger facility, and then the southern United States gets everything from Florida. Mm-hmm. So. But what are you thinking about? You looked in deep thought there, Samurai.
I'm trying to remember the first brewery that I visited.
So mine was definitely a Budweiser brewery. It was definitely Busch Gardens. So.
I would have to really, really think about that. I know that Weyerbacher was one of the first, but I don't think it was the first.
Never went to Busch Gardens when you were a young lad, as we did?
Nope.
I could tell you I was actually at the Molson Brewery in '86, so that was probably the second brewery I went to, or third if you count the fact that I went to both Williamsburg and Tampa. But anyway, was it that experience of seeing those tanks that made you want to eventually brew beer?
I thought it was fascinating. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was a little kid at the time, so the idea of making beer was completely out of my realm of thought. But no, just seeing how they presented it, like with the the kind of like the tram ride, and you see the process of getting the grain, and then you see the lab and the cultivating yeast, and and then they eventually drive past the giant tanks, and you're like, this is impressive. I don't know, maybe it had some sort of deep seated effect, but I probably wouldn't put any weight into that at all. So
I would love to say that when I was a kid walking, going past those tanks and everything else, I said to myself, too bad there's not good beer in there. But I didn't. That thought had not occurred to me.
When you were a kid, there was no good beer yet, John.
This is true. Well, technically, no, there probably was. I mean, Samuel Smith has been around.
Not in this country. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. What are some of your favorite styles? Just in general, but not just necessarily to brew, just you personally.
I love dark beer, so stouts, porters, dark Belgians. I mean, I'll drink them in the middle of summer. I like them that much. So
we can. I agree with you. I'm a big darker beer guy too. But loves me a couple IPAs and nice, a good hoppy pilsner and when it's really super hot out. But
it took me a long time to come around to IPAs. I remember my first crafty IPA. I think it was something from Flying Dog, and I got a 6-pack of it. I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Then, going by the bottle art and everything, and I drank one, and I'm like, all right, let me see what I could push these off.
Was that snake bite or something along those lines, or?
Yeah, something like that.
One
I
of
don't
those, yeah.
remember exactly what the name was. Like,
yeah.
for some reason, like Raging Bitch comes into mind, but I just had one of those recently, and I don't think that was it.
That's a Belgian, isn't it? That's a Belgian.
Yeah,
It's a IPA. It's a Belgian IPA.
It's a Belgian pale ale. Yeah,
That's a rough introduction into the style.
Yeah,
it's a great beer, but it's just.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, like anybody else too. Like even when the first IPA I ever tasted, I spit out. I'm like, what the hell am I drinking? Flowers or grass here? What the hell is this?
No, the first one I had was Harpoon, and I actually, I loved it.
Yeah, no, it was the first. That was the first. Well, let me rephrase. I mean, really hoppy, super over hopped IPA. You know, like I had a Harpoon IPA back then, and I loved it too. But then I think it was a Saranac not too long after that, maybe.
Well, do we consider Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale an IPA or not?
That's along those lines. I mean, you know, Harpoon's IPA is. I mean, I'd consider it almost like an English IPA.
Yeah,
it's much
more like an
maltier
English
beer.
style because it's maltier.
Yeah. But like a West Coast style. Like I know I had like an overhopped beer. I'm pretty sure it was from Saranac back in the day, and I was like, what the hell is this? You know, I finished it though. You know, and you know your palate changes and everything else, I guess. But when did you first start homebrewing?
It was right around when I turned 21. A story I always say is like I bought a homebrew kit for my dad for Father's Day, and I'm like, this would be a cool thing for him and I to do together because I was like at the age where I could buy it. And he and I brewed a couple batches together, a couple different beers, and then I just kind of got the bug for it, and I just kept brewing on my own. And you know, I was finishing up college and living on my own at that point, and just I was like, I would make beer, not all the time. Every couple months, I'd make a batch because you either have to throw a party to drink 5 gallons of beer with friends, or just spread it out over time. So
right.
But cool. It was. Do
you remember the first beer you brewed?
I believe it was just a regular Irish stout.
Oh, interesting. That's cool. How'd it turn out?
Not great. Did
the 21-year-old version of yourself think it was great? You know.
Oh yeah, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was fantastic. I'm like, yeah.
This is great. I got to do this again. Yeah.
No, it was. We're collecting bottles from all over the place just so we can bottle condition them, and we're putting them in like glass Coke bottles, and we had to go through how many twist offs just to get to the and then the carbonation was some would blow it onto the ceiling, and then some would have no carbonation
at all. Yeah.
And did you give it a name?
No, I didn't call it. Yeah, it's like this one's forgettable. So we're gonna
Chris's first beer.
Yeah.
So, that's great.
Same thing with the IPA thing. I don't think I brewed an IPA until I was brewing for several years because it's just a style I wasn't ready to drink yet. So I was like, why would I brew something I don't want to drink? So,
when did you first realize that you say to yourself, I got to open a brewery. I got to do this. This has to happen. When was that revelation for you?
I had a few requests to brew for some parties, some birthday party, like a friend's 40th birthday party, friend's wedding, just because I had brewed some stuff that they liked, and they're like, "Oh, can you brew that for my wedding?" I'm like, "Sure, absolutely." And then, just getting feedback from people. People are just whether it was blowing smoke or being honest, I was getting pretty good feedback on it, and it's just a hobby I just enjoyed taking the time to brew. When that day came, I got excited. I'd wake up in the morning and be like, "It's brew day, let's go."
Exactly.
And
do you still feel that way?
Yeah, for the most part. I think it's the brewing process I really like. I think the brewing for more of like a deadline or more of like to fill inventory, like just the business aspect of it, it dampens it a little bit, but I don't dislike it at all. I still come in on brew days. I'm like, all right, let's get our grain together. Let's start milling and let's go.
Because there's that phrase, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. And we've heard that phrase countermanded a few times with Nicole from Crooked Current.
Nicole Pelletier, yeah, she says, "Are you sure about that one?" Yeah, like
I think a big part of that is, especially in my case, is it's not just making beer; it's the other aspects of running a business. And coming from a non-business background, figuring that out as we went along, there's definitely things that I didn't choose to do, but I have to do. So,
right.
So when you pick the job of being a brewer, well, if you go work for a brewery and you're a brewer, and that's all you do all day and you love it, that's awesome. But when you own a brewery and you're a brewer, I love the brewing aspect of it, but the day-to-day stuff can get tedious.
Right.
It's so.
Oh yeah, no,
I think that's what we see some of the newer breweries fail. You get a home brewer who loves the brewing, decides to open a brewery and forgets about the business side of it.
Right.
And then one or the other. Either they just forget about the other side of it, like literally forget about the other side of it.
Right.
So it's done, before it gets going.
We've got a friend like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I mean, our situation as it is, it's my wife and I, and we kind of run everything ourselves. But there's a lot of other situations that I think work where if you bring someone in who likes to do sales as your sales guy, and you like to have somebody who's good at bookkeeping, if you have that partnership. For us, it was a case of two people who didn't know how to run a business, but we are grinding to make the best out of it as we can.
Got you. Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. It can get very tedious. Sorry about that. Hold on a minute.
The Thuman's repeating on you?
No. All of a sudden, there's one text thread that I'm in, and these two guys decided they wanted to blow everything up. So all I'm hearing is ding, ding, ding on my end.
Oh, well, I got a text that my nephew broke his foot. So
that's not good.
Yeah, no. So I'll talk to my sister later.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
you can't do anything about it. You just let the thing heal.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
So when was that? When did you actually open? When did Oyster Creek? What was the first day of business?
We opened doors May 4th of 2018.
Okay.
Star Wars Day, beautiful.
Yeah, we we were so close to opening, and we were kind of running into some red tape stuff with federal and stateside, and but we were so close to May the 4th. It's a Friday night. Let's see if we can make that happen. So we luckily got we got approval from the TTB, and then we got New Jersey on the phone. We're like, look, we really want to make this date happen. So in order for us to even start brewing, can you come down? Can we get through to the point where we get our inspection so we can actually start brewing? So the beer will be ready for. So it was like, we're like early April. We're just kind of on the phone, just trying to make that date happen. And
right.
If it didn't happen. But we lucked out that it for us, I'm a kind of a big Star Wars geek, so it kind of worked out perfect.
You can probably see back. I can never get this right because of the angle. Look at the camera. I've got the Empire Strikes Back poster back there.
Yeah.
Got a couple of
light with it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's below the what's below our logo.
Mm-hmm.
But so now we've heard a bunch of breweries talk about their relationship with the town.
Yeah.
How was the town when you guys were opening?
Initially they didn't know what we wanted to do. They're like, I think we literally got the question, like, what do you mean brewery? And we're like, we're going to make beer. And they're like, really? Like, okay, well, we have to go to the township attorney and find out if this is something that's real. So to get the initial approval of building, it took a couple weeks for the lawyer to get back to the committee, and then the committee to get back to us. But once we got the okay, I think they got really excited about the idea.
Yeah.
And they were very helpful all along the way. I mean, we had some hiccups with inspections, with the building inspectors and everything, but for the most part, the township committee have been fantastic. They've been great.
Right.
So.
Well, it's not like there wasn't any precedent like in the next town over. I mean, Tori's been operating for how many years? So.
Yeah, I mean, she's a couple years older than us. She's like 2. I think when we were still building out, I went to her 2-year anniversary. So she's a couple years older.
Yeah, she opened late 15, early 16, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, my point is it was there already.
Right.
You know.
But that's amazing. Where do they think, the beer on the shelves comes from? Is it not it's a thing?
There's one city that makes all the beer for everywhere. And
it just magically appears.
It might have been a case of like, well, we're in this tiny town. It's like 7,000 people. And they're like, do you really want to build a industry, like an industrial thing here? And like, no, it's not going to be, we're industrial, but it's going to be very small footprint. We're not building a building and then piping out steam, through smokestacks or anything like that. So,
you're not building a new Anheuser-Busch plant.
Right.
You're not putting up new cooling towers.
Right. Yeah, well, that would have been. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, you know what? I mean,
what were you drinking again? Heavy water? What?
Heavy water? Yeah, the Irish ale. Yeah.
Heavy water, exactly. Is that that's all closed up now, right? They're
still decommissioning, but there's talk of them repurposing it as a different kind of plant.
Okay.
I've heard all kinds of
you repurpose a nuclear plant.
Repurposing it as a spring water.
Well, they said, as a power generation plant, obviously,
right.
but since they have the grid right there, they're like, we could easily do a solar farm, or we could do a gas plant, or I've even had a guy come in who was one of the executives for there, and he said, we're actually talking about potentially doing a newer nuclear plant in the same spot. So.
A newer nuclear plant.
Yeah.
So not a spa, not a amusement park.
No, not a brewery either. So.
Not a brewery. Picture those cooling towers as fermenters.
As grain silos.
As grain silos. There you
go. Wow. I was thinking more using them
that's repurposing. That's for sure.
Like a cyclotron.
Yeah.
What was that thing at Six Flags called? The rotor.
The rotor. Yeah.
Imagine that. One of those tanks.
Oh, God,
one of those cool towers.
That would be interesting. So yeah. What is your favorite style to brew? Is it specifically though, not just dark beers? Is it a stout? Is it a porter? Is it?
Stouts are my favorite.
Oh, yeah. You barrel age a lot, or?
Since we've been open, or I barrel aged before when I homebrewed, in a little tiny 5-gallon barrel, and it came out really nice.
Yeah, you get the small ones, yeah, sure.
And then since we've been open, I've done. Last year I did 3 barrel aged beers, just a single barrel each.
Okay.
And then this year I did the 4. Or the past year I did the 4. So.
Right.
I just said to myself recently, I'm like, I got to buy barrels because I'll probably only do maybe 2 for this next year. But I'm thinking possibly a tequila barrel.
Oh, nice.
So we'll see.
It works. You get local barrels or?
They're tough to get local.
There's not a whole lot. There's of all the breweries in Jersey, it's not like there's that many local barrels that you can go out and everybody can get them. So.
But like Northeast Barrel Company, they can get them from all over the place. You can get Jack Daniel's barrels. You can get Maker's Mark barrels. You could get.
There's now a company that sources the barrels.
Oh yeah, yep.
See, this is the interesting thing, is because when you think about it, when they first started barrel aging beers, it was so new that I'm sure the distilleries were looking to get rid of the things.
Yes. Oh yeah. They were probably throwing them away or
because especially bourbon barrels, because you have to bourbon has to be a newly used barrel.
Yep.
You can't reuse them, so they got to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. Now they're selling the things because they realize the beer industry has a demand for them.
Oh yeah. And some of the prices on these, like cognac barrels, are like $3,000 a piece.
Oh wow!
Because they're talking like 25-year-old aged cognac barrels, but like who's gonna buy a 3,000? You're never gonna make the money back off of a 3,000.
You're not. That's something that's an investment in your business to get a beer that everybody's going to talk about for the next 10 years out there. That's the only reason to do something like that.
Yeah, and that's a risk because how much do you think actually you're going? It's got to be a very specific style to work in that barrel,
and you definitely got to pour you definitely got to fill like 8-ounce bottles too. You're not doing 750s out of that.
What if it doesn't work?
$50 a piece for an 8-ounce bottle.
But imagine you barrel age in the cognac barrel and it doesn't pull anything out or pulls too much out and doesn't work.
Right.
That is a risk.
It is a risk, yeah, absolutely. Unless you're, unless you have, a track record, even if it's not your track record, a track record of that particular style or beer or whatever you brewed, that recipe or similar anyway with a barrel of that nature. So,
Kris, what style of beer would you put in a cognac barrel? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot.
Dave's putting you on the spot without telling you that he is. So.
Maybe something like a Belgian double or something like that. That already has some very fruity esters to it. I think it would just go well with a cognac, which has that little bit of wine / brandy-ish flavor.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking that direction.
So Belgian, in particular, I would think more like a double. I would think maybe.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said yes.
Yeah. Quad would work too, but quad's a more expensive beer to brew than a double, and now you're putting it in $3,000. So now you're charging $75 for that 8-ounce bottle.
And I'm sorry, I love the way quads work in a bourbon barrel.
Oh yeah, no, quads in a bourbon barrel are delicious.
Yeah.
But anyway, what's your favorite barrel that you've used, or that you would want to use, other than obviously a $3,000 cognac barrel to use? Is it just straight bourbon, or is it
Yeah, bourbon is it's nice. It's just it kind of works with a lot of different things.
Bourbon's nice.
Bourbon is very nice. Absolutely, it's delicious too. Dave knows my favorite barrel. So
what's that?
I said Dave knows my favorite barrel too. So
favorite barrel.
Barrel aged barrel for aging beer. Rye.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say he's going to put you on. He's going to keep you in suspense and not say it. So
I'm thinking there's a specific distillery we've talked
about. No. The liquid, not the.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway, but it's bourbon barrel aging. Anything. I mean, I want to come down there and grab one of the black IPAs and taste that. I'm really curious to see what the.
Yeah, that is one of those because John and I have been doing this for so long. We've had so many beers. You look at our Untapped, it's probably not even half the beers that we've drank through our lifetimes.
A quarter.
Maybe a quarter. And, and I will gladly speak for John here. We're just looking for something different, something new. Challenge our palate. What's there? Does this work? If it doesn't work, cool. We tried it. The brewer put himself out there.
Mm-hmm.
He tried something. Okay. Did it work? Maybe, maybe not. Was it what he was going for? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to watch, the thought process, the creative process with this. Because let's face it, it's there's a science to it, but there's also an art.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. So. Yeah, and it's interesting because our menu is pretty diverse. I always say I try to keep it as varied as possible because you get people who come in and they like their, we have a Hefeweizen on tap all the time, and we have a coffee stout on tap and a West Coast IPA on tap, and sour on tap, and the cream ale. And our cream ale is probably our best-selling beer because it's we get so many people who come in and have never been in a craft brewery, and they're like, I'm like, well, what do you like? And they're like, well, I like Coors Light or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't necessarily have that for you, but I have this cream ale, really basic and it's simple, but it's a tasty beer, and they drink it and they have 5 or 6. So
exactly,
you can do it with the cream ale.
Yeah, which proves my point. If you're a craft beer drinker, I say this all the time. If you're a craft beer drinker and you're going to go out and you're going to have 6 beers, you're going to have 6 different beers.
Right.
If you're a Heineken drinker, you're going to go out and have 6 Heinekens.
Yeah.
And if you're a Bud drinker, you're going to go out and have 6 Buds. So,
yep.
But
with those people, we always try to go look, it's we got this one for you, here's a taster of something else. Let us know what you think.
Right.
Try to draw them into the dark side of craft.
Exactly. Most
come to the dark side.
Come to the dark side. We opened on May the 4th. Come to the dark side. But a lot of them, especially the ones that are a little bit more open to tasting it. I mean, there's been plenty of people that they walked into a brewery, I was at and I've heard them, I've seen them. Somebody gave them a Pilsner, and it wasn't too hoppy of a Pilsner, so they were okay with it and they were happy, and that's what they drank. They had a couple of those and they didn't want to try anything else. And I'm going home and having a Bud when I get home because I that kind of thing.
Right.
But the ones that are a little bit more open to experimentation and tasting and a little bit more, not necessarily the palate is open, but they'll try it. You give them a couple of tasters, all of a sudden you find some eyes opening, like, oh wow, this is really good.
Right. Yeah.
Why haven't I been drinking this for a while now?
We found that with our sours, like people were like, sour beer, it's it's so foreign to them.
Sure.
And for me, brewing the sour was completely foreign to me, and I was a little afraid for a long time of brewing a sour. And when we finally did, we had so many people who were now sour drinkers, because they had ours, which is pretty straightforward. It's nothing, we're not like Referend where we're doing these long-term aged sour ales. It's just a kettle sour. It's pretty simple, and we add some fruit to it, and they're like, this is very refreshing.
It's not like it's not like it's on the the farmhouse ale funky type,
right?
Big Brett notes and all of this. It's a
right.
kettle sour. It's tart more than anything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
for the people that like Sour Patch Kids.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Well, get back to the dark side here. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Kris, go ahead. Keep going.
But we've had, because of that, we've had people who go like, oh, I was just so-and-so. So I was at so-and-so's brewery, and they had these great, they had like 4 different sours on tap. And you're like, but, 6 months ago, you never had a sour.
We got you there.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. What were you going to say about the dark side?
Well, I want to go back to the dark side because I want to open my second beer.
Why don't you open your second beer? Because my beer's on the dark side, too, so. My second beer, that is.
Oh, mine's really, my God. Thing's pouring really dark. So what I'm pouring here it's from Buttonwoods Brewing. Mm-hmm. They're up in Cranston, Rhode Island. And they did this with Borealis coffee makers. Now, John, that should sound familiar to you and anybody who's been watching. Borealis, they had partnered with Smug for something called S'morealis, which is a s'mores beer with coffee. Oh, that thing was so good. John, you had one of those.
I did not. No, you.
No, I thought I gave you one of those.
No, the smug stouts I had was the
Brutella. Brutella, that's right.
The vanilla chai, a couple others, but it wasn't the. You consumed all of those on your own.
Yeah, because I love that beer so much. What's interesting is what they call this is a barrel-aged imperial stout with, and wait for it, barrel-aged coffee.
Huh. The coffee's barrel-aged before they put it in the stout.
That's
so no, wait. Now, did they – hold on. I got to ask this. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. I'm just curious. Did they put coffee in the beer, barrel-aged coffee, or did they barrel-age the beans and then use them in the brew?
It says that it's barrel-aged imperial stout with barrel-aged coffee.
Interesting.
So it sounds like they've barrel-aged them separately, or maybe they barrel-aged the coffee, then added it to the brew kettle, then barrel-aged the stout. I don't know what the order of operations is here.
That's interesting.
But this is called First Crack. Did taste it up in the brewery.
First Crack.
First Crack of Dawn. First Crack. I don't know.
And we can go in a lot of directions with that.
Yeah, we're going to leave that. We're going to leave that be right there. Let's not make them the butt of our jokes. And in the can, it's actually just as tasty as it was at the brewery.
There you go.
I didn't realize when we were drinking at the brewery that the coffee had been barrel aged. There is a lovely little boozy back note to this that plays on the sides of the tongue. I mean, it just sits there and dances. That is
really. So you have coffee dancing in your mouth right now. Is basically what you're saying.
There's the booze, but
I don't want to see it, so don't open your mouth.
I'm not going to do it anyway.
No. Well,
That's good. I like that.
I'm going to pour, and the can should look familiar. I'm going to pour an Oyster Creek. Look at that. But I'm going to pour Black Fox. It's a Schwarzbier.
Schwarzbier. That's one of John's favorite styles, if not the favorite style of John played on.
Yes, absolutely. Right. And I'm going to pour it. Hold on. I'm going to pour it in a Rheingeist glass. Make note of that for later.
That's called foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. It's foreshadowing. So
not three-shadowing or two-shadowing.
No.
Foreshadowing.
And if memory serves, Kris, this was the last Black Fox in your cooler.
Yeah.
When I bought it. So
yeah, I brew that one generally for like the late winter, early spring. So it's like a late February, early March release, and I do one batch of it, and when it goes, and it's also a Quebec yeast brew, so it's not a lager, but it does have that bit of crispness from that yeast that's just it's the yeast everybody talks about for the last 2 years of this amazing Norwegian or Swedish or yeast that ferments in like 24 hours.
not propagated from the bottom of the ocean.
No, it was like
that's from our last show.
That's from our last show. Yeah, there was a well, Dave will get into it. It was a
shipwreck.
Shipwreck, and they were able to propagate yeast from beer in the shipwreck, and
Yeah, they pulled it up. It was off the coast of Scotland. I think the ship's name was the Wallachie. I don't remember how I remember that. I don't know how I remember that.
That was the name of your first band, wasn't it?
The Wallachie. No, what it is, I've learned that if I have like one to three beers, it increases my memory. After 3, then it just starts to flatline.
Right, exactly. Which is why if you're going to talk to Dave at a bar, you want to get there within the first hour. Other than that, just let it go.
Yeah. No. You don't want my memory out there because you're gonna learn stuff you really didn't want to. Like this.
I know it all. It's fine.
Yeah, the amount of useless knowledge. At any rate, so they pulled them up. They actually poured the beers at one point. It smelled. They said it smelled completely like ass. And then, but they tasted it was okay. And then, but then they propagated yeast out of it, and they've been brewing beer with the yeast they took out of it. And do you remember the name of the yeast? Deronomyces.
Deronomyces, yeah.
Deronomyces,
yeah. We talked about it last week on the show.
Yeah.
But
how is
when he said it tasted like ass, I was about to say something, but I let it go. I wanted it to go past or whatever. That aside, this is delicious. Cheers, Kris. This is very good.
I'm actually going to go pour myself a beer real quick.
Pour yourself a
That's high praise from a Schwarzbier lover.
I love Schwarzbiers. I actually have it's unfortunate that this is the last one he has because I have about 6 Schwarzbiers downstairs. And I want to do a
blind taste test.
I want not even a blind taste test. I just want to drink one after the other. Get a couple people over, pour 2 ounces. So no more than 8 people, 2 ounces each. No more, no less than that. So if we could do 4 people, 4 ounces each. They're all 16-ounce cans. But what are you drinking?
This is the Dark Matter Vanilla Porter.
Dark Matter Vanilla Porter. I don't have a crawl for that, so sorry, people, if you're watching.
What's the name of the Schwarzbier, John?
The name of the Schwarzbier is Black Fox. I just had that up. Black Fox.
I missed that. 4.8. Yeah, so this will start getting interesting the more this drains. This is an 11% beer.
Right. Yeah, I went from 7.5 to 4.8. You went from 8.5 to 11. So. And
I've got a doctor's appointment early in the morning, so I want to be my best.
Cheers. Cheers, gents. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun.
That's a really tasty Schwarzbier.
We've all gone to the dark side now.
Cheers on that. It really is. That's a tasty Schwarzbier. Good job on that. Thanks. Oh, thank you, actually. Anyway, here let's a couple other things for beer wise. What you call it? What not necessarily just Oyster Creek specific, but you go to festivals not just for the brewery but yourself. What's some of your favorite festivals?
I was a huge fan.
Personally,
the AC Beer Fest when sure. I called them contestants, I guess, at the beer fest.
There you go.
But that one is just it's huge, and there's just so much going on. They always put on a good show.
Always. Yeah, John's a good guy. He always puts on a good show. We had him on the show in the beginning of. Actually, we had him on May the 4th.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we did.
We did. We had him on May the 4th.
Because our top threes, that show was the top 3 Star Wars characters you'd want to sit down and have a beer with.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. So, in fact, the one he just did, I was not able to get down there to the one on the field, on the old airfield in Atlantic City, that they just did. That was the first AC Beer Fest that I missed. Period.
I would be really remiss if I did not interject the fact that this thing is also throwing some lovely cocoa notes.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I mean, for the beer it's not too far of a stretch to realize that it's going to do that, but.
Yeah, but.
Sweet or just.
No.
Cacao cocoa.
No, dry cocoa.
Dry cocoa.
Dutch process, right?
Nice, yeah.
Damn.
Cool.
Anyway.
Any others or?
Yeah, the ones they have at the Philadelphia Zoo. They're a lot of fun because it's.
Yeah, they are. Actually, I've been to a couple of them.
I've never been to one of those.
Yeah, they're really cool because it's the animal displays are out there and they kind of have everything spread out through the park, so you just kind of wander along and there's breaks, so you got to move from like one section to the next, so you get a little time to catch your breath and get to the next section, hit up a few breweries, make your way to the next but it's really cool experience. Trying to think of others that were really great. And then another one that we participated in as a brewery, which we thought was great, was not last fall, but the fall before, was the first one they did, the Witchcraft, which was a Halloween one at in a park. So after dark, they have these screens up and they're showing old footage of horror films.
Okay.
And it was a beer and spirits fest. So there was, they had gin booths and they had vodka booths and they're only giving you like the tiniest taste. Because
you're getting like a half, not even a half an ounce, like a quarter ounce.
Yeah. But
just enough to wet your lips with it and taste what it tastes like. That's it.
Yeah. Super cool. Everybody's in costumes. I mean, AC Beer Fest does that too, but there's a lot more participation.
Yeah, but that's for another reason.
But no, that one we really enjoyed, even just being there serving beer. It was just a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah, the Philadelphia Zoo ones are actually cool. The ones they did up in, they haven't had them in a couple of years, obviously last year and that. But Brew at the Zoo up in Turtleback Zoo up in West Orange.
Yeah, and I hear
they were fun too.
The Bronx Zoo does a good Brew at the Zoo as well.
I have not been to that one.
No, I've not been to that one either.
I can imagine, having been to many of the Brew at the Zoos and a couple of the Philly ones, I can imagine the Bronx Zoo is just as,
And I think I told you, being in the Bronx Zoo, I was surprised to see some local craft beer at one of the booths.
Yes, you did tell me
Zoo
that.
Brew, that was really kind of cool.
Gene Lynch had written in and let us know that there was a misspelling on it, so I fixed it. It's Black Fox from.
He originally attributed your beer to a brewery that will go unmentioned.
No, we can't say it. It was because on the previous show notes, that was the brewery that I had the second beer in. So when I changed it, I didn't change the brewery. But I just changed it. It's good now, so we're good to go. So I had to correct it, so I put it up. There we go.
Now, speaking of the brewery name, when you chose the name, did you have any qualms about it? People thinking of Oyster Creek, the kind of the anti-nuclear sentiments, or was that a draw for you to allow you to name your beers what you've named your beers?
It was definitely more of a draw. Like a friend of mine, when I was doing a lot more home brewing, we were just spitballing names for stuff, and a lot of the names we came up for this, a good portion of the recipes were just he and I. He's a science teacher, and he and I just going back and forth like, oh, you could call this and call this, and for me, the power plant, the nuclear power plant, has always been more of a landmark for the area than it was like a menace. It was
right.
So I
sure. Did you grow up in Waretown? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Up just south in Barnegat.
Okay.
What were some of the? Do you remember some of the names you rejected?
It I'm sure I have a list somewhere. Nothing like. It's funny because at the time, like everybody was kind of saying, like Simpsons reference of three-eyed fish.
The three-eyed fish.
and that was one I kind of like pushed away from, but I'm actually considering making a beer called Three-Eyed Fish.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a perfect name for a beer. Yeah, absolutely.
What the hell was that?
A three-eyed fish.
I just thought Oyster Creek nuclear plant just exploded. What the hell just happened out there?
I didn't even hear anything. Was it outside?
Yeah, well, I've got good headphones, so you guys couldn't hear it. I think it was outside, but it sounds like someone.
Oh, whatever.
And now there's a lot of activity upstairs because people are running outside to figure out what the hell just happened.
There you go. It's probably a car hit another car.
It sounds like a car hit a fence, actually.
You know what? I do remember hearing a little bit in the background there. So if what I heard sounds right, I think you're right. Spot on with like a car hit a fence or something.
Yeah, when you saw me jump. So John, in the past we when I was up in Rhode Island, we talked about the guy who lived above me.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Right, the Centaur. So last night,
Dave said, just anybody, for Kris and anybody else listening that doesn't go back that far in the podcast and hasn't gone back to listen to those when Dave was up in Rhode Island. He lived downstairs from a centaur. Had to be a centaur that lived upstairs.
Had to be a centaur. There's no other explanation. And the best part was when I went up to confront him to please be quiet. He opens the door and the dude's wearing a crown. You can't make this shit up. But last night there was this noise coming from upstairs, and I text the guy upstairs. I'm like, "What's going on up there?" Apparently, he's got a new roommate. The roommate's got a cat, and they've got this thing that's like looks like a big carpeted hamster wheel that cats run on.
Oh.
A big carpeted hamster wheel, like adult size kind of thing, or
maybe about 3 feet high.
Okay, so
small
adult size.
Yeah, so
child size.
Child size, but since it runs on bearings, it makes a hell of a freaking noise.
Gotcha.
God, anyway.
I gotta love it. You got to get him to bring it down one day and put it in the background. Just have whatever runs on it run on it during the entire show. So
it's a cat. And
a carpeted hamster wheel for a cat.
And I hope we don't.
I love it.
That's what it is, and I hope we don't lose any viewers here. But I'm not a big fan of cats.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have their place.
Outside killing stuff, yes.
Outside your domain, they have their place. How's that?
Yes.
Fair enough. All right,
there we
go.
You go. How do you feel about cats, Kris?
I'm fine with cats. We have a couple. We have a couple cats, couple dogs.
We had one of my old fire company in North Arlington. We had one. Eddie Katz, great guy. It was
Eddie Katz.
Eddie Katz, yes.
When I'm growing up, my mom had no fewer than 6 cats at a time.
There you go. Well, that's why.
We also had a small farm, so.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say we also had a small snake.
No, we had a large snake. Actually.
Not a large snake. There you go.
My brother had a boa constrictor.
So,
and we had a couple ducks, one of which drowned. Don't ask.
Well, you know what? I mean, some people, everybody says there's 99% of the people out there are dumb. I'm glad I'm part of the 5% that aren't. So
he's good at mathing.
Anyway, that's one thing we say we never do on the shows, right? Is math.
Yeah, no, math is not allowed on the show.
You can't do math.
That was one of the. I think that was our maybe the third show we made that a rule. No math on the show.
Yeah, it's because for the third time in the third show we were trying to do math and it just wasn't working. Unfortunately for us, it was later in the show, not earlier in the show, so it didn't work well. So that didn't go over well.
And we would do in the early days. We'd do 3 beers because we'd do this video teaser for the show, and we drink a beer. Then we open the second beer, and then that would carry over into the podcast, which was audio only, and then we do another beer in the podcast.
Right.
So now we do 2 beers, sometimes 3, sometimes 7.
Right. Yeah. Especially if and we have one. Yeah, we have one guest that we bring on every now and then. He's deemed himself the Alec Baldwin of our show. So whenever he's the guy that whenever a guest cancels, he comes on. And he's the beer whisperer, but he's also the whiskey whisperer. So undoubtedly, anytime he's on, we have 2 or 3 beers and whiskey during the show.
But the last time, all 3 of us had something to do early in the morning, so we all behaved ourselves.
We were very good that day. Yeah.
So it was actually the most boring Tom show we ever had.
It was a very boring show. But in any event, I was going to ask you to get away from beer. I did read one of the articles. I believe it was in. It was pretty good. It was a 10 questions with you.
Yeah.
From South Jersey beer scene.
Yeah.
You did homework?
Of course, always. You don't. I do. It's fine. Whatchamacallit? Your favorite music that you have on in the brewery all the time, while you're brewing or whatever. And I noticed there was, I mean, you can elaborate a little bit more, but 80s rock, obviously. But you also had Foo Fighters, Van Halen, and Cake.
Oh yeah,
Cake. Gotta love it.
Yep.
Now my favorite Cake song's Never There. I know that's not a stretch, but it's a really good song.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yep.
So, but anyway, you got that on all the time? I mean, any others soon?
I get into I tend to get into just the same music for a long stretch until I get tired of it, and then I'm like, all right, something else. So Pandora is great in that, like, I could just create a channel and it gives me enough variety where I just pop on the same channel and it's a lot of the same stuff,
Sure. I love those. I love the fact that you can put in like one or two groups and it'll just curate a channel for you based on that genre.
And the best thing is you wind up finding, artists.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Before.
Yeah.
Or you've forgotten. Like, oh my God, this guy's. I've heard one song, but I never really listened to him. This is really
years
good.
and years and years ago. That's how I came across the Black Keys.
Oh, really?
I forget who I'd put in as the artist that I liked. Came across the Black Keys, another band called Howling Wolf out of Louisiana. It's like you just come across these bands because you create that channel and it finds other bands for you.
Yeah,
there you go.
And it's amazing how often we talk to brewers a lot, and we get discussions about music and also Star Wars. These are like two of the themes with breweries.
It might be a brewer thing. I mean,
I think it really, really comes down to that. My background still the job that pays the bills is I'm an audio engineer. So and I worked for years in a music studio, and I think it's just, I don't know, that maybe it's just the tinkering, that kind of like that whole mindset of just fiddling with stuff. And
I think it's the artistry.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I think it's the artistry.
Oh yeah.
Because
it's probably a little of both, actually.
Because we've had the producers, we've had musicians. Old Heights, they're musicians.
Yeah,
one's a band teacher. Right, you got Jesse up at other half. I almost called it in the borough.
He was at other half for a while.
But he's he's a producer.
He's a former rap producer.
Yeah, former rap producer. We've got and then there's the three top guys up at Forest City. They're all in bands.
Oh, really? Okay.
Individual, like their own bands. No, they're not in one band together. They have three different bands.
One's jazz, one's ska, the other one's more metal rock.
Metal rock, yeah.
Right. So completely different styles of music, and when you're in their tap room, the music selection is varied and just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I always tell the people who we have behind the bar, I'm like, play the music you like, just to keep it non-offensive, but if you want to play something weird, play something weird. We're just whatever. Just keep it. And people come in and they're like, oh, it's Rasta Day, and it's or it's Swing Day, or it's we
take it as a compliment if I'm in your tap room and doing this, because that means I'm
shazamming the song that's on. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, we change up all the time. We don't have like a music style we keep playing here while
that's cool.
If I recall, I did that to one song when I was at the brewery 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I did. But we had my aunt and uncle have a house down Bay, and there was a family a family get together, post-pandemic family get together, because everybody's been talking to each other but nobody's seen each other for over a year and a half or whatever. So we all got together that day. But I'm like, okay, well, when are we getting together? Oh, 2:00. Perfect. Oyster Creek opens at 12. Boom.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh,
so you went in a good mood to deal with family.
It was perfect. Yeah, it worked well. It was good. So, should we do our top threes?
I think we should.
I think we should do our top threes. What do you think? I'll throw these up. Now, we call them top threes, Kris, just so you're aware, and anybody else that is just watching or listening that hasn't before. We decided on top threes for two reasons. One, it's paying homage to 1933, which was the repeal of Prohibition, obviously. And also, if we did a top 10 list, it would take way too long.
Right. So, we'd have 3-4 hour shows. Because we stretch. You'll find out. We stretch our top threes into top 4s, 5s, 8s, 9s.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So, yeah. By the way, before I get to my top three, I'll just mention the ones that I didn't put in my list.
We're going to do that tonight.
And we'll do that tonight. Yeah, absolutely. So, but tonight's top three list is top 3 favorite Ohio breweries. Why do we pick Ohio? I don't know. We just picked Ohio today, So it was like
So you've heard us say it before. We're starting to run out of ideas for our top 3. So if you've got an idea and you're listening, please message us. Yes. So John and I started 2 new series. This is the start of one of them, which is top breweries from states, and then we will some of the bigger cities. We will do top beers from those cities as we go.
Beers, not breweries. Beers from those cities.
That's the distinction right there.
So we decided to start with
now
Ohio.
I don't know if we're going to go through every single state because I don't know that North Carolina has more than 3 breweries.
Oh, no, North Carolina. Yeah, no, they don't have a lot of breweries in North Carolina.
No, so we probably won't get to all 50 states. So if we skip your state, please don't write.
Yeah. And in any event. So tonight is top 3. Again, I'll throw it up. Top 3 favorite Ohio breweries. Kris, you want to go first as the guest of honor, or
then you would let him go
or
last.
do you want to go last? It's up to you. We'll leave that up to you.
Kris confided in us that he only has 2 right now. So
yeah, I'll go last. Sure,
you go last.
Yeah, all right, let him go last. Johnny, you foreshadowed.
Okay.
So 4 FORE means before,
not FOUR, FORE. Okay, so all right, I'll go first. All right, I will start it, and this is obviously what we were just talking about. I will give an honorable mention to 2 breweries. One that I actually was considering putting on the list, but realized that it was number 4, and that would be Noble Beast. It's in Cleveland. Great brewery, tasty beer. They brew a lot of different styles too.
In the Mistake by the Lake.
Yeah, and as Dave calls it, and a lot of other people call it Mistake by the Lake. But I honestly, personally, I love Cleveland. I think it's a great town. Dave has reasons he doesn't.
Ex-wife was born there, so.
But in any event, Noble Beast, great brewery. And the other one I want to point out, the beer is really solid, but the food is amazing. Butcher and Brewer. It's the cap I'm wearing today, right? Butcher and Brewer. What
kind of food?
What's that? It's in Cleveland.
No, what kind of food?
It's totally. You want to call it a gastropub type menu. I had a chorizo taco there that was probably one of the best tacos, period, let alone chorizo tacos I've ever had. It was so good. Yeah.
Mexican, Spanish, or Portuguese chorizo?
I would imagine just, Spanish. It wasn't specific to Portuguese or Mexicans already. But in any event, it was delicious.
There is a difference.
And they are, there is. But they're actually on, there's like 2 or 3 or 4 blocks that are a walking block, and it's one block, and it's just up the block from Progressive Field where the Indians play. Mm-hmm. And it's almost back to the main street.
Oh, they call it Progressive Field now? It used to be called the Jake.
And no, it's Progressive Field now. Yeah. And it's actually right across, diagonally across the street from House of Blues too. And right on the walking path. And it's a great area of the city, and like I said, the food is phenomenal. The beer is solid, the food is phenomenal. But that's not even on my top 3. So Butcher and Brewer.
You spend a lot of time on something that's not even.
There you go, exactly. No, I just had to say it because I love the place. But beer-wise, we're talking beer here. We're not talking atmosphere and food and where it is and location or anything. We're talking beer. So number 3, also in Cleveland, Platform Beer Company. They brew a lot. Again, they brew a lot of different styles. They have a bunch of sours. They have a strawberry banana donut sour that was actually so ridiculously spot on, and it wasn't heavy lactose either. It was really, really well brewed. And we've talked about that before.
We're back to Cow Appreciation Day.
Exactly, we're back to Cow Appreciation Day. But Dave and I have talked about the fact before. When you put so much lactose in your glass, that it changes the mouthfeel of the beer and also leaves a film, non-lacing film on the glass That might be a little too much lactose. But
if you've got your beer in hand, you're walking around and cats are following you. Yeah, may put more lactose in there. More lactose than you should.
Exactly. So Platform Beer Company is number 3. Number 2, also in Cleveland, Masthead Brewing Company. Delicious beer. Some of their barrel-aged stouts really spot on. Their IPAs are amazing too, and they're right downtown in Cleveland, maybe about 4.5, 5 blocks from Lake Erie, away from the the Cleveland Brown Stadium. Was it?
And the Rock and Roll
First
Hall of
Energy.
Fame.
First
Rock and
Energy,
Roll
right?
Hall of Fame's there too.
And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's right. Well, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's right
no,
next
you're
door
talking
to.
about. No, you're talking about. I'm sorry, the Brown Stadium. That's elsewhere. Yeah.
No. Brown Stadium is
right there too?
one block away. Yeah, it's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then there's a school in the middle. I think it's a fire school or something like that. And then on the other side of that is First Energy Stadium for the Browns. So it's right over there. But Masthead Brewing, that's delicious beer. That's my number 2. And my number 1's not in Cleveland. It's in Cincinnati, and I foreshadowed before. And not the beer. Yeah. The beer is delicious, but it's from Waretown, New Jersey. But the glass, Rheingeist Brewing in Cincinnati. That space is amazing. They're on like the 3rd or 4th floor of of an older big factory, and they have I think they're 80 barrel or 100 barrel fermenters on the 4th floor of a building.
4th floor.
Yeah,
that's some shoring up going on.
Yeah, they did a lot of work in there, but they have. Yeah, they have a lot of different styles too, and everything's spot on, and everything. The whole brewery experience is really cool too. In Cincinnati, this is Rheingeist Brewing. So there's my number. There's my 3.
So Kris, you should be quite honored that your beer was poured into his favorite Ohio Breweries glass. So that I will go from there, and I'll start with number 3. Number 3 is one of the OGs out of Ohio.
Hell yeah,
that hit the national scene, and that is Great Lakes. Great Lakes Brewing, my God, Dortmunder Gold is just a fantastic beer.
Edmund Fitzgerald Porter is delicious.
Edmund Fitzgerald's one of the best porters.
It really is.
Brewed in the country, straight up porters. I mean, there's so many other porters that are adjunct or barrel aged or whatever, somehow are flavored, but Edmund Fitzgerald. The only porter that I can immediately point out that I like better would be Anchor, but that's a special porter. So. Great Lakes, that's my number 3. Number 2 is these guys are nuts. They have done some fantastic stuff. Hopping Frog. Hopping Frog's out of Columbus. Mm-hmm. First they came out with Boris, the barrel-aged oatmeal Russian Imperial Stout is what it stands for. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't good enough, so they went with Doris, the Destroyer, which is a double oatmeal. Russian Imperial Stout. This and that only comes in bombers, and you better have someone to share that with.
It's big 22-ounce bottles that they
you drink that sucker by yourself, and you are destroyed. It's
a few ounces less than drinking a 750, but still you're not going to do it by yourself.
No, you're not going to do that by yourself. Their IPAs are spot on. They've got a black and tan that I believe is with the stout and the IPA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the IPA right now, but they've got some solid stuff they put out there, and they get crazy every now and then. I remember, God, we were walking through a liquor store and they had some Hopping Frog there, and I can't remember what style they had out there, but it was pretty nuts. And I'm going to try to remember that. Mm-hmm. But my number 1 out of Ohio, it's one that in the early days they were one of the more celebrated breweries. And they kind of fell off because, as Johnny said to me while we're talking about them, other breweries opened up. There's new stuff, and they kind of got forgotten and pushed to the side, but they are still making some phenomenal liquid. That's Jackie O's. Jackie O's barrel-aged stouts. Those are some of the more special stouts in the country. And if you used to like Jackie O's and you haven't had one in a while, go find them. They're still putting out extremely special beer. And before I moved to Rhode Island, I was temporarily stationed in Massachusetts for a little bit. And I had a local liquor store that carried Jackie O's. And I grabbed a bunch of them. John remembers some of the ones that I drank.
Yes.
And my God, those things they'll destroy you, but they will thrill your palate.
Right. You can have fun until you
until you pass out.
And I was going to say until you wake up the next morning. You know?
Yeah.
But that means it did its job, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you are one of the old timers like John and I and loved Jackie O's back in the day, find them again. Go back to that old love and grab some of their beers.
Yeah, I concur. Great brewery.
Yeah. So
right.
you ready? You ready now, Kris?
Yeah, I'm ready now.
Okay.
So, like I said, I really only had 2 on my list, so I'm gonna throw a third in there as like kind of an honorable mention. Is just because I'm did a little research and saw like their name popping up for the quality of what they make, and also because I love their name is Hoofhearted.
Hoofhearted.
Hoofhearted, yeah.
Hoofhearted?
Hoofhearted.
Well, that's
after all the beans that John and I have been eating today. That question has been answered.
Apparently they have, I'm looking at like,
they're a little punny brewery. So,
yeah. It has like a bunch of their beers in the in the top. So I've never had them, but I've
had Hoofhearted. It's good.
You gotta give them a nod for the name.
Yeah. My second was Jackie O's. Same thing. The dark beers are awesome, and it's just right up my alley. So
yeah.
And then when it comes to that, you can't beat that.
Yeah. And then third is for me Southern or Great Lakes because because I've had so many of them, and it's like the one I've had a lot of variety of their beers. So, like Elliot Ness, Nosferatu.
Yeah. Oh God, I forgot about Nosferatu.
Nosferatu, yeah.
That's a fun beer.
What was the other one that I just had on the tip of my tongue before? But either way, yeah, I've had
Burning River.
Yep, that's another good one. But yeah, just the fact
why don't they just call it Cuyahoga?
You can get it.
Well,
here.
That's what I love about Burning River is they're making fun of their own city because Cleveland's the only city in the United States whose river was so damn polluted they set it on fire.
It's but anyway, continue. Sorry, Kris.
No, I mean, hey, that was it. But yeah, so I mean, my limited experience with Ohio beer, that's what I got for you. So
I'm going through some of Hoofhearted's names.
Yeah.
Mom Jeans. That's a good one. Dorks of Hazard. Who'd like to hold my clipboard?
They have one Conky Dong.
Conky Dong is like one of the most popular. But Who'd like to hold my clipboard is reminiscent of, the most popular Cake song, Short Skirt, Long Jacket, right? Because she's walking around with a clipboard.
Right.
Permanent Marker Pen Disguises. Are we
Permanent
having
Marker
fun
Pen
yet?
Disguise? There you go.
Are we having fun yet? Did we just become best friends? FWENDS.
FWENDS, yeah.
They got some great names.
I've had a few.
Wet when slippery.
Wet when slippery. There you go. That's a good one.
Zipper Ripper.
Slow Turbo I've actually had. It's a double IPA.
Really?
Yep.
I haven't had any of those.
Yeah.
I must look like a dork.
No, you don't. You're fine.
I'll have what she's having. There we go.
There you go. Might as well leave it with that.
And that was the director's mother said that phrase in When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. Are you or if you go off of what they asked in Essential Guy Talk the other day? Cheers to PJ Wendell. There was one. You know how they have these ruin a band name by adding a word or changing a word or something like that.
Oh, is that the moist one?
It was add the word moist to a movie title. And a lot of people didn't get it. They changed a word. It was add the word moist to a movie title, right? So I put I won't say the one that everybody said winner, winner, winner. I'm not going to say that on this podcast, but I
you have to. Come on.
Well, I did. I was going to say I did put When Harry Met Moist Sally.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and that would have been in Katz's Delicatessen.
Yeah, she was, she was faking the moist.
She was faking the moist, right? Exactly. Well, let's put it this way. I won't say what it was, but you've seen the movie with I forget who was in it, but was it Brad Pitt in the movie Snatched?
Moist.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll leave it at that. Anyway, we'll leave it right there. But yeah, Hoof-Hearted actually does make some decent beer. So cheers on that. Cool. So what's coming up on the horizon for Oyster Creek? What do you event-wise, beer-wise, so forth and so on?
We have a couple of beer fests lined up. August.
Now that we get back into them now, so
we can do them. Yeah.
Manahawkin, which is in Manahawkin, right on the lake. Really nice outdoor beer fest. Saturday, the August 6th, I believe.
Okay.
First Saturday in August. We're doing Summer Swelter out in Pittman. We have another one up in Toms River for first responders. It's South Toms River First Responders Festival, but it's like more of a food truck, beer fest, carnival rides, concert. We're going to do Witchcraft again in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We just got an invite to Bridgewater Beer Fest.
Okay.
So we'll probably be participating in that.
Nice.
Oh, you come up a little north.
There you go.
And on the brewery side of things, we just got our 5-barrel system. So
Did you?
Got that last week.
Oh, congrats on that! Awesome.
Yeah,
we're using a 2-barrel system, right?
It's a 1.5. So it's really a 1-barrel system, but we were squeezing as much beer out of that thing as we could. So.
Gotcha.
Oh, you're growing up.
Yeah. So now we're just going through the headache of getting all the it's an electric system. So we're going
5-barrel electric.
Yep. Getting all the electric installed and getting everything up running. I got a couple fermenters that are stuck in port somewhere, and
lovely.
Well, that's what's going on right now. I'm in logistics, so if you've gotten anything from overseas, everything is slow.
Well, I tried to do purchase American companies, but I think that is really a misnomer. I think a lot of these producers are still outsourcing their production to China. Right. So it's one of those not a big deal, but it puts a lot of time constraints on when to expect stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're talking 4, 5, 6 months out, and we're still waiting on stuff. So
yeah, right. That's my job. You don't got to tell me.
But the plan is to make more beer. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on that. That's awesome.
Yep.
So any new brews coming up in brew schedule wise over the next few weeks?
Yeah, it's not for nothing. I've got to get back down that way. One, to visit these guys. Mm-hmm. But also you and the brewery just north of you, which I've not been to either.
Okay.
So yeah, gotta make the run.
I'm generally for August. I make a peanut butter and jelly ale, like it's our back to school beer.
Okay.
Oh, nice!
So that all the kids can take it on the first day of school. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're making like juice box crowlers.
Cardboard square crowlers. There you go.
The kids that take to school.
6 ounce crowlers. No. Let's be realistic. It's for the parents to drink once they send the kids off to school.
And just before they have to go and pick the little fuckers up.
Exactly.
So yeah, that one's coming up. Hopefully, we'll get everything up and running here in time for me to get that brewed and get it out.
Beautiful.
By August. So
nice. Well, we definitely have to plan a time to come down there. I definitely want to taste that bourbon barrel aged black IPA. Absolutely. I'm really curious to see what the flavors are thrown in there.
It came out so nice, and I'm just surprised. I mean, I think it's because it's it's an IPA, and 2, it's coming in at like 15%. It's just maybe when the cold weather comes around, people will enjoy more.
Gotcha.
But I've had 1 or 2 bottles myself already, and it's just fantastic.
Today.
5.
Today.
Yeah, just today.
So
I'm going to this podcast tonight. I got to drink something.
What days is the tap room open?
Wednesday through Sunday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We open at 3. Close at 8 on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We're open till 9 on Fridays. And then Saturdays are 12 to 9, Sundays 12 to 6.
Nice.
There you go. Beautiful.
I need to take a weekday off. I've got so much time to take off at work now.
You've got the days to use. Use them. Let me know, and we'll go.
Yeah, use them or lose them.
Exactly. Yeah. And then if Kris isn't pushing a fader up and down, and
maybe I'll be.
He'll meet us there, and we'll have a couple beers.
Yeah.
And I'll try to do my best to meet you here.
Absolutely. All right.
Great.
Awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. This has been great. Awesome show.
John's got some pork chops to dig into.
Sure. Yeah, we got that. I mean, got time for that. It's not done yet, so it's good.
No.
But on that note, we'll wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lageroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night at 6:30. And for those of you that want to listen to our audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Kris, again, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Great show. Really appreciate you coming on. And we will talk to everybody soon. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Drink a lot of beer. Drink responsibly. But enjoy yourselves, and we will talk to everybody soon. Cheers, guys. Take care.
Okay. Night, folks.
They found him face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake rug. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he shit out of luck. This little penny went to